It's the 1st of October and I'm Tom Glasson. Welcome to The Roast. Tonight, Hong Kong has been taking a stand against China and protesting for democratic rights. And I say, good luck, Hong Kong. We're all rooting for you. You show China who's boss. China, please don't stop buying Australia's iron ore. Our country is so broke. We'll do anything you say. Anything, China. I really mean it. Anything. Meanwhile, Mark Humphries has the headlines. Did I mention...
Queensland's Newman government will be the subject of a Senate inquiry. It's the worst thing to happen to Campbell Newman since he found out the elephant he bought from eBay wasn't life-size. The inquiry is the brainchild of the Palmer United Party, which is appropriate as they have the brain of a child. The senators, seen here holding the balance of power right before they accidentally dropped it on the ground, blew on it and then licked it, managed to get their motion passed through the Senate yesterday. Good work, team! Way to show some initiative and prove the PUP isn't just pursuing the interests of Clive Palmer. Because Clive Palmer doesn't have any beef with Campbell Newman, does he?
Clive Palmer sues Campbell Newman for $1.1 million.
Something tells me Clive won't be getting a Christmas card from the Newmans this year. PUP Senator Glenn Lazarus said the inquiry would look into several areas, such as Queensland's use of Commonwealth funds, the administration of the state's judicial system, and questions around development and environmental approvals. But that's the proposal in layman's terms. For a more nuanced description of the inquiry, let's go to Liberal Senator Erica Betts.
Basically, it's a bitch session about Queensland.
The motion was passed with support from Labor and the Greens. PUP had attempted to pass a similar motion last week, but for some reason Labor didn't get behind it.
Labor refused to support an amendment which would have seen the final years of the Bligh Labor government included as part of the inquiry.
To be fair though, Labor did run on a platform of stay out of our business. So Labor's in the clear, but Palmer United has Campbell Newman in their sights. And not just Campbell Newman, someone else could come undone from this inquiry.
Fishy matters involving Clive Palmer himself could come within the scope of the inquiry he's helped establish today.
That's right, Clive Palmer has set up an inquiry that could end up investigating himself. You know, I'm starting to think this Clive Palmer fellow doesn't know what he's doing. The gender pay gap has now widened to a 20-year high. Hello, Emma Watson? Yeah, I think we're going to need another speech.
In Australia, the difference is now 18.2%, the highest since records were first collected in 1994.
That's right, the highest since 1994, which means women in Australia had more equal pay when they had the Rachel haircut. But there are signs that there may be changes to Australia's gender pay data in the future. Not signs that the data could get better, just signs that there may be less of it.
As part of the Abbott government's plan to cut $1 billion in red tape, it was planning to lift gender reporting requirements to only Australia's biggest companies.
Abbott didn't end up going ahead with those changes to reduce the amount of gender reporting required by companies, but changes are by no means off the table because the Prime Minister reserved himself the right to revisit the gender reporting rules. He's a good minister for women. For The Roast, I'm Mark Humphries.
Thank you, Mark. And speaking of 1994, that was the year The Lion King came out. Not The Lion Queen, though, was it? Still waiting for that film, Disney. Sexists. Well, next up tonight, Hong Kong, semi-autonomous region of China and Hollywood punching bag, has been in the middle of rolling protests since Sunday night. It's been dubbed the Umbrella Revolution, presumably inspired by the famous Rihanna anthem, Shut Up and Drive. But that's not all they've been singing. Yes, the protesters have adopted Do You Hear the People Sing from Les Mis as their anthem. It's an interesting choice of musical given pretty much everyone dies at the end. The protests stem from a promise China made when they regained control of Hong Kong back in 1997 that by 2017 the people of Hong Kong would be allowed to elect their own leader. But earlier this month China had a little surprise for them.
Beijing announced that Hong Kong's next leader, known as the chief executive, would come only from a slate of candidates vetted by Chinese authorities.
Yeah, because it's so much harder to know who's going to win when you don't vet the candidates. China prefers elections to be run like the WWE, with a group of men pretending to battle it out over a result that has already been long decided. But so far the protesters have been impressively peaceful, with activists recycling trash in the middle of demonstrations and school kids dutifully doing their homework while conducting a sit-in. And then there were the kids forging letters from their parents saying they couldn't do their homework because they were busy recycling during a protest. And for more on the protests, we'll turn now to peaceful protester Jazz Twemlow.
But the answers are in the back of the book, yeah? Tom, these protesters are so peaceful they make Gandhi look like ISIS. They've even put up signs apologising for the inconvenience. It's like I'm in the hive mind of a giant polite nerd, which makes me wonder why the police are dressed like Wolfenstein cover models. And it's probably nothing so... Ow!
God, Jazz, are you okay?
Yep, I'm fine, Tom. The police are just firing tear gas into the crowd.
What provoked that?
I'm not entirely sure. I guess it was a preemptive strike in case this homework escalates into violent homework.
I have to say, Jazz, it seems remarkably calm there behind you. I thought everyone would be retaliating.
Oh, God, no. If even one protester throws a stone, suddenly this entire crowd of recycling, umbrella-wielding kids will be branded rioters, unlike the police who are doing their job and keeping the peace by firing tear gas at people doing maths. Back to you,
Thank you, Jazz. As it happens, today was a public holiday in Hong Kong for China's National Day, which for the protesters must be like having to celebrate your stepdad Paul's birthday halfway through a fight with your mum about how Paul's not your real dad. We'll be right back.
Have you ever fought for democracy? Was it really hard but it was worth it in the end, like American democracy? Or did it take a really long time and wasn't really worth it, like Axl Rose's Chinese democracy? We'd love to hear about it at The Roast TV or hashtag RoastTV.
So how has mainland China reacted? Well, despite these protests making news around the world, the news broadcasts in China tell a different story.
10,000 pigeons to go through anal security check for suspicious objects.
And if you're wondering why China is releasing 10,000 pigeons, what better way to mark another year of communist rule than to organise a massive state-sanctioned shitting on the people? To be fair to China, though, their newspapers have covered the protests in an unbiased and balanced way. One newspaper, for example, described the protesters as extremists and a radical opposition group and offered this prediction.
The radical activists are doomed.
On Chinese television, they reported it too, just not in a way that's entirely in line with, facts.
Mainland China have been getting a very different story, that a few thousand people gathered in a local park to celebrate the Chinese government.
And for more on that, let's switch over now to the Chinese news for the latest updates.
And how will you know if the object is suspicious? If it's in a pigeon's anus, it's suspicious. To the Chinese city of Hong Kong now, where thousands of loyal citizens have gathered to celebrate the greatness and strength of the Chinese government. There has been an impressive turnout of local residents who have banded together in honor of Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying to sing his praises, comparing him to teenage heartthrob Edward Cullen, handsome and immortal. Celebrators were treated to refreshments delivered via aerosol technology, and there was even a fireworks display for the little ones. To the weather now, and it's a good thing the revelers have all those umbrellas because a storm is coming. But don't worry, friendly police will be there to help them get off the streets, by any means possible. Next up, we remember Tiananmen Square, and who could forget that iconic image of Chinese diplomatic vehicles patiently giving way to a passing pedestrian.
Well, regardless of how it's reported, the outcome of these protests will have a huge impact on life in China for years to come. As one prominent Chinese democracy campaigner who is currently under house arrest in Beijing says,
the outcome of this battle for democracy will also determine future battles for democracy for all of China.
But seeing as this is a government that's willing to finger 10,000 pigeons to scoop out any sneaky nuggets of democracy, I'm guessing they'll probably just continue repressing the shit out of the people. Still, there's always hope. So I say good luck in your struggle, Hong Kong. Soon you could vote for political candidates of your own choosing, just like us.
Do you hear the people singing the song of angry men? It is the music of a people who will not be slaves again.
It's definitely worth fighting for. Good night.